It's really no secret that Battleborn takes place at the end of the world, with all stars in the universe having gone out except for Solus. The main narrative sees our heroes struggling to push back the unthinkable threat of the Varelsi and the traitorous Generate Empire. One of my favorite things about this setting is that we have literally everything else leading up to it. We're talking billions or trillions of years unaccounted for leading up to the Varelsi War. So would it really be so ridiculous to wonder if fellow Gearbox IP Borderlands could be set in the same universe? Please keep in mind the following video contains spoilers for all of the Borderlands games. First, we have the point I just brought up. Time. While it's clear Borderlands is set in the future, we never receive a clear relative time period. However, we do know that according to the official Battleborn website, Rendane himself is at least 20,000 years old. Between the time of Borderlands and the rise of the Generate Empire and the Varelsi War, technology had time to develop and systems had lots of time to change. Which brings me to my next point. Corporations. One defining piece of Borderlands lore is the existence of several large, extremely powerful corporations like Hyperion, Atlas, and Dahl. However, in Battleborn, like many things, they're down to just one. However, this description is deceptively simple. The LLC is actually several corporations under one united title. From weapons manufacturers to minion robotics, there are many pieces of the LLC that make sense as a conglomerate of those from Borderlands. In fact, the LLC used to be tied to the UPR for a time. I bring this up because of the militaristic presence of the UPR and their counterpart in Dahl or Atlas. Similarly, hypothetically speaking, Hyperion with their line of robots like loaders and claptraps could easily have evolved into minion robotics. However, just like in Borderlands, there'll always be those opposed to corporate factions while they seek their own riches and profits. Vault hunters and rogues. At the end of Borderlands 2, we see a map of vaults all across the galaxies. While previously we heard about hordes of vault hunters flocking to Pandora, it only makes sense that even more would spread to all corners of the universe in pursuit of treasure. Iridian treasure. Which brings us to our next point. The secret behind the very threat that is at the brink of devouring the universe. The Varelsi are tied somehow to the Iridian. Beyond the fact that they are both unusually supernatural beings in a sci-fi world, they have a lot in common. Take a look at the vaults from Borderlands. We see that these are not in fact ordinary storage devices, but in fact otherworldly pocket dimensions often used to contain terrible things. In Borderlands 1 and 2, we see massive weapons monstrosities emerge from these portal gates. In the pre-sequel, we go so far as to enter into what appears to be an Iridian pocket dimension called Elysir. Here the player is confronted by all sorts of lanky monstrosities who sort of seem to be wearing masks. In The Void's Edge, while confronting a large lanky monstrosity who has just emerged from a portal leading to unthinkable space, the player is transported into a pocket dimension where they are confronted by more evil beings that seem to be masked. Looking at the Varelsi next to Iridian Guardians, you can see the similarities of appearance. So could it be so insane to propose that maybe, just maybe, the Varelsi are another threat released by opening a vault? Even at the end of the pre-sequel, the Iridian character warns the Vault Hunters that, and I quote, "War is coming, and you will need all the Vault Hunters you can get." Could this be foreshadowing the beginning of the Varelsi War and the need for badasses to push them back? And if the Varelsi are tied to the Iridian, could that link Iridium to the shards in Battleborn? Both are reactions from their respective species affecting the normal world, both are used as a special form of currency, and both mess with biological creatures. This last bit is more than just speculation, mind you. We've seen these reactions. Krieg was experimented on with Iridium, and we saw extreme physical alteration. With muscles on muscles and unusual proportions, it's clear the effects it had on him. In Battleborn, however, we see a near identical reaction, but with shards. While Atticus was already a thrall, meaning he was a bit large, with experimentation from shard technology, he gained grotesque strength and physical capabilities as well. Now, before I get to my coup de grace, I want to bring up a little something. The Highland mushrooms in Borderlands. We know Miko is the result of a planet-sized fungal organism that sent out spores to other planets. The giant mushrooms there vaguely resemble Miko. It's a stretch, but, that said, some weird mushrooms aren't the only Battleborn presence in Borderlands 2. And today, I think I can decisively say what's under Zero's mask. Zero is an early Generate, and I think I have enough evidence to say this confidently. First, we have biology. Zero, like the Degenerate, are not quite human. They have angular features and 4 fingers. This is no mistake. Gearbox have said that Zero's finger count is very much intentional. As for other physical features, his helmet resembles the shape of Caldarius's, and his armor is similarly shaped to pieces of Wrath's. The Degenerate Highborn are characterized by slim forms and long, thin limbs, much like our resident ninja. However, the ties don't end there. There's also the exterior similarities. Zero wears dark colors, black and gray with red accents, the exact same as the Degenerate. Additionally, Zero is a swordsman, a highly valued trait among the Empire. Their official descriptions go so far as to say, the Degenerate avoids standard gunplay weapons and are skilled and arrogant warriors who prefer close combat. And the studio's goal with the Degenerate were having noble warrior code and high tech. Not only does that sound shockingly similar, one thing mentioned there is another key feature: the tech. Let's take a look at Diandi. One of her defining skills is Hollow Twin. The official description of the skill is as follows: cloaks Diandi and deploys a decoy, 20% health, 25% damage, to fight in her stead for 8 seconds. Upon death or expiry, the decoy explodes for 200 damage. With Zero's active skill, Deception, it grants Zero the ability to deploy a holographic decoy of himself and enter an invisible stealth mode. Additionally, Zero can get a skill called Unforeseen that, surprise surprise, causes his decoy to explode upon it ending. And this is where my point at the beginning comes back. Time has passed. Technology has developed. With said advancements, of course the holograms could be developed to damage enemies and explode off the bat in the time period of Battleborn. Moving away from Zero, we have the basic gameplay ties between Borderlands and Battleborn. The health and shield system is almost identical between the two. Another more subtle tie are the presence of elemental weapons. While less present in Battleborn than in Borderlands, the types are present in both natural and man-made weapons. Cleese is all about shock, Montana can dish out both fire and cryo rounds, a la the pre-sequel, and Melka deals encaustic damage. I want to focus on the last bit because Melka also notes another important tie between the two games. In Borderlands, Sirens are characterized by unusual powers, oddly colored full body markings, and high elemental focus. On the surface, we have the first two, and looking at gameplay, we see the possible corrosive venom sneak its way into many of Melka's abilities. And it doesn't end there. Upon reaching maximum rank with Melka, she gains a taunt called the Mercenary. Using this causes Melka to jump into the air before slamming her fist down. What really matters here is what happens during the jump. For a brief time, Melka has a set of elemental, aura-like wings. With both Lilith and Maya, we've seen this exact thing. Lilith in cutscenes, and Maya upon getting the Blight Phoenix skill. And lastly, there's a generous application of the word badass. But whether that's a universal cultural thing, or just Gearbox really liking the branding, remains to be seen. So with all of these ties and similarities, I think it's too unusual to just be coincidence. I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback, and I'd love to hear anything from Gearbox about the theories outlined in this video. I spent a crazy long time on this video, going a little bit insane, so if you like this, likes and subscribers are always welcome. At the risk of repeating myself, I run a small channel, and any and all support is crazy welcome. Until next time, beautiful people.